And welcome to the latest and greatest from Step Brother Sports. We are back from our Labor Day week or long weekend hiatus. Again, good to be back. We're part of the Howdy. It's been so long, I haven't even done my little intro the right way. But still, we're part of the Hockey Podcast Network and also the Bills Mafia Buffalo fan base platform. We're brought to you by Rich Brow Brewing, located at 5 South 20th Street. They are Richmond, Virginia's premier Buffalo Bills backers bar. You can listen to us anywhere where you find your podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all those other great engagement functions for the show. We'd really appreciate it on any of the platforms we're on. Follow me, Chris Maz, on social media platforms at CFMAZ, and Shawnee V at SV The Don NHL, and on YouTube at Step Brother Sports. Folks, the regular season for the NFL starts tomorrow. At long last, we've survived. We made it. The Buffalo Bills have a titanic rematch against the Baltimore Ravens in a primetime matchup on Sunday Night Football. Training camp in the preseason for the Buffalo Sabres. Oh, yes, shocker. We might talk about them for a little bit tonight, too. Also, right around the corner. But if you're watching on the video side right now, you might see Shawnee V right here. He's a little bit of a silhouette. He's got the darkness enclosing him at the moment. Tell us a little bit about your adventures today, Sean, before we really go.
Yeah, so we'll jump into it, and it's kind of funny. So this was completely unexpected. So, no, I'm not really in the Bills locker room right now, but I did end up moving today from, over the last couple of days. So the holiday yesterday on Monday, I flew to Tampa on Sunday and then rented a car. And over the last couple of days, with the help of our parents, I moved out of my condo in Clearwater Beach, which is kind of it's a sad day. But also at the same time, I said this on social media, it's a new chapter. So closing of one chapter. And for those of you that, that have been with us since the beginning, that my condo down there was hit by the hurricanes that happened last fall. And that condo is still this weekend after leaving there, it's still not ready to be lived in. So I had to make the tough decision to move out. And then I spent all day today from about lunchtime or so until about 10 minutes ago, driving a U-Haul truck from the Tampa Bay area up to Lake Lanier near Atlanta. And I'm here, and I walk into my new place that I'm in the process of actively moving into. Well, actually, I didn't even start yet. I'll be doing that tomorrow for most of the day. And there's no electricity here because today was the day I was supposed to switch the electricity into my name, and I forgot to do that on my drive. So if I look a little goofy, one, it's because I am, and two, it's because I have no electricity, and I'm using a combination of my phone flashlight and the computer screen to give us some light. But you know what? To be honest, it doesn't look that bad.
So needless to say, Sean, you're the real MVP for doing everything you did today to make this happen. But more importantly, also, so again, kudos to Sean for just doing a whole lot today and making the time for us here.
Priorities.
But we have priorities. But for tonight, joined by some friends of the show from WGR Sports Radio 550, gracing the airwaves across nearly all of their shows in some capacity as either producer, host, or fill-in host, depending on the occasion. And whether it's hyping up the Hall of Fame game lately, rooting for hapless baseball teams like the LA Angels. Don't worry, Zach. We're Pirates fans, so we know misery.
You guys get it.
Or just bringing the good vibes all around. We're glad to re-welcome Derek Kramer, and for the first time on our show, Zach Jones. Gentlemen, how we living?
I think this is number 3,
we
right?
Made it.
Yes, Derek, number 3.
Oh, Derek will be the first three-timer.
Yes.
Get on my level.
There we go.
Yes. But gentlemen, how are we living? What's new and exciting outside of work? Because again, obviously, sometimes work just tends to, dominate our life.
We are living. The Texas Longhorns did drop their game to Ohio State, so we're just chipper. We're getting through it.
Yeah. Tough sledding for you on Saturday.
Right.
Thanks, Arch.
Thanks, Arch. He skipped his first pass of the game, and I'm like, all right, well, happy football season, everybody. Here we go.
Right. A real barn burner of a game with 14-7 is the final, too.
Honestly, not much. You asked at probably the worst time now because the Bills season is starting. Now we are all about work at this point, and more so than ever. At least I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about Zach, but I'd imagine the sentiment's the same.
It's like 95% work, yeah.
Yeah. The Bills season's starting. We're dialed in. We're ready to go.
Oh yeah, you're
Lock and loaded.
sleeping, and breathing everything that is Bills football. That's from here until hopefully beyond January. So,
Yes.
well, then you'll probably still do that anyway because that's just part of the gig too. But either way, I hope it's at least semi enjoyable before the immense storm of content that you'll have ahead of us. But still, Zach, since we said already it's your first time here on our show here, we always like to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole of people's sports origins. So, kind of tell us a little bit about what got you into sports journalism and some of your favorite sports memories, whether they're Buffalo related or not. So, we'd love to hear.
I mean, how I got into this was more just going to college. So I graduated from Buffalo State, but I initially went to Edinburgh, which is a school down. Yeah, there we go. I went down to Edinburgh, which is right outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. Went there for a year, and I was kind of up in the air, like what I wanted to do. Like I was the typical 18-year-old freshman. Like I had ideas, but like they were the concept of ideas, not like anything concrete. And it was just in one of my like big 100 level classes. There's 300 of us in there. We had an adjunct professor come in, and it was basically just like a meet and greet. And he put us in like groups of, I think it was like six, and we had to kind of like introduce our group. And you pick one person to do it. And I really came out of my shell at like 17, 18. And so like that was like, fresh faced. I didn't care what anyone thought. I was just going to talk, and I was comfortable with it, and I did it. And the adjunct professor afterwards was, in fact, a journalism professor. And he's like, "Hey, have you ever given any thought to radio?" And I was like, "Not really, no." And he goes, "You really should." He goes, "It won't pay much. It could be fun. So give it a shot." And again, I at most I had was the concept of ideas. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's give it a shot." And kind of from there, in a way, I really stuck through it mainly because I got a lot of luck in terms of timing. My career went very, very quickly in terms of just milestones being hit. And so it never felt like I hit a wall, which has been wonderful, and I'm very grateful for all the opportunities I've gotten. But that was a big part of it, was just I hadn't hit a wall yet, and I was enjoying it. I think I'm pretty good at it. I'm probably average at it, but I enjoy it and I have a good time. And yeah, and so that's kind of how I got into it. Was sort of a professor kind of giving me the kick in the butt that I needed. But I probably would have found my way to some of it at some point. I still went for journalism. I'm still a sports junkie. I mean, I joke about it all the time. Like I'm the guy that gets ESPN Plus to watch mid-major college basketball in December. Like that's who I am. Like I did. I like a little bit of the weird in each sports. Like, hey, I'm here to watch Oral Roberts in Missouri State. Like, I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Like,
we're betting on that. Come on.
Absolutely. Like, that's who I am. So I probably would have found my way to it eventually. But I always do find the story of how I actually decided on it kind of funny, because it's a random professor. Never had him again. I don't know the man's name, but he was like, He's like, "You should do this," and I was like, "All right, like giddy up,
sure, bud."
And yeah,
Love
that's
it.
really all it took for me.
Love it. Yeah. Any other major like true sports memories that are just kind of like core to you? So whether, like I said, Buffalo or not.
Well, for Buffalo, the main one is actually it is the breaking the drought for me. I was actually on a flight home. Yeah, so I mentioned where I went to school to start. I was, a wide-eyed 19-year-old at the time, thinking long distance relationships. Oh, it'll work for me. So I was dating a girl from Pittsburgh at the time, and I was flying,
nice,
right? And I was flying home from Pittsburgh. So I'd spent the holidays with her family, and that night it happened to be Bills Dolphins, and then of course eventually Cincinnati Baltimore. And I'm flying home. We can't watch the game on the plane, but I had enough. I had signal before and after we had landed, so I could check the scores. And I just remember trying to rush home as fast as humanly possible. I live 10 minutes from the airport. It's truly not that far to rush home because the Bills were beating the Dolphins. From the last time I checked my phone, Cincinnati had botched it and Baltimore taken the lead. And I was like, "No, what is happening? No, this can't be how it happens." I get home, I'm able to see, Dalton perform his miracle for us, and that was incredible for me because up to that point, obviously I spent the holidays with a family from Pittsburgh, and so I got for 4 or 5 days like the most pity filled, "Oh, your team will be good eventually. Like, don't worry. Like, the Steelers are down right now." And I'm like, "No, they're really not. Like, what are we doing here?" Like, I've never seen the playoffs as a conscious human being. Like, what is happening? And so like that one will always stick with me, mainly because like up to that point for 4 days, like I was just being like nicely abused by like this family that was so grateful to me. And I'm just like, guys, like you guys don't actually understand the hell I live in. And then, from then on, it's been great. And the Steelers have been bad. So, I feel good about that now.
Full circle for that. Full circle for that too. How about that? But hey, that's a great core memory, especially again, being 19. That's like you get like some youthfulness to that as well. Man. So that's great.
I think I also so here's our degree of separation right here, Chris. I believe at 19, I also was in Pittsburgh working for Comcast. For years 19 and 20 on break from Buff State. There's the other tie. Mm-hmm. I think I work for Comcast in Oakland. So like downtown Pittsburgh area,
There we go.
If there you go.
So love it. Yeah. Let's get right into it, boys. Because again, got that huge, like Fusillo huge matchup this Sunday. Yes, I want Billy Fusillo huge. Yes. So, but anyway, Ravens coming to town. They are pissed. Let's just say right up about last season's defeat at Highmark Stadium. They've probably spent the offseason brooding in the corner, pretending to be Batman from the animated series, yelling, "I am vengeance," because that's literally all they had on their mind. But you guys have both spoken on this matter, on how this is not really a must-win game, but can really have a huge, significant impact at this point. So, Derek and Zach, what are your takes if the Bills either win or lose on Sunday night, on either scenario?
Derek, you can go. I mean, I had to share my life story.
Oh, that's right. I had to share my life story. Oddly enough, Zach and we did the Extra Point show today, and I kind of fell into a weird sentiment that I know has been weird to think about, but win or lose, I'm probably going to be as even-keeled as possible for a Week 1 matchup against a quality team. If the Bills lose this game, it's okay because they've dropped bad home openers or season openers before. They lost to Zach bleeping Wilson a couple of years ago and 3 plays of Aaron Rodgers. I don't want to hear it if the Bills lose, even if it's like 15, 20 points. I don't want to hear it. It's fine. Good teams beat other good teams. That's what happens in the National Football League. Sometimes bad teams beat good teams. As long as you don't open the season like that, then there you go. Look, if you lose like 55-10 or something, then we have another story. But
it might be alarming, right?
Might be a little bit more alarming, but I'm still going to go ahead and go, the Bills, you can still chalk them up for 12 wins. And it's perfectly fine. Obviously, if they win, clearly they're going to the Super Bowl. But I kid there. But it is still going to be the same sentiment of you had to beat a good team. And if you do, it makes people feel better. That is absolutely what you look at it as. But no, the Bills losing to the Ravens in the regular season in Week 1 is not the end of the world, and I would not want to treat it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much all of that. Week 1 is for good and bad. It can be a complete mirage for what a team's season is going to be. We saw last year the New Orleans Saints started with their hair on fire. They look like an offensive machine, and by like the middle point of the year, they had completely fallen off the rails. We've also seen, of course, Cincinnati is kind of like infamous for this now, where they are dreadful to start the year and really turned it on. Derek's mentioned it. The Bills have lost to Zach Wilson and a bad Steelers team. They have also put the whoop on like the reigning Super Bowl champions in the Rams and stuff like that. But for me, I've almost I say it's something as a joke, but also like I do kind of mean it seriously. I'm so tired of like starting a season with like a great game. Like in part, like as a Texas fan, like you had the Ohio State hype and that kind of was a dud, but also they're 0-1 and you get all the bad feelings from it. But it's like Texas will probably be at worst 10-2, 11-1. The Bills, like Derek said, will probably at worst be like 11-6, 12-5. Like they're gonna be there at the end. The fear really off of Week 1 against Baltimore is, did you already put yourself behind the 8 ball in terms of the 1 seed? Which could absolutely be true. That's the one big thing for me that I look at this and I think maybe the one big takeaway you could have if you do lose, as long as it's not the 55-10 blowout, is you absolutely could be behind the 8 ball in the 1 seed race. I like the Bills' chances in the AFC East much better than the Ravens' chance in the AFC North, just in terms of how much more competitive the division is. But if they're the wagon they have been for years now, it could be a tough road, and you still have to play Cincinnati. You still have to play Kansas City. Miami, New England, they could be much better. I mean, the Jets, I don't imagine much, but I can see a world where Miami, New England are much better than they're initially perceived. That's the big worry. But right now, I look at both teams. Both teams have pretty clear injuries, or excuse me, not clear injuries, but key injuries on their rosters. Isaiah Likely, Patrick Ricard are big in terms of the Ravens' run game and how they like to do things for the Bills. Who the hell's quarterback number 2? We'll find out. It's going to be real exciting for everybody. It could be Jamar Singer. It could be Dane Jackson. And if it's Dane Jackson, that's a guy that 3 weeks ago, I think most people were pretty close to putting into ink was probably going to get cut until the injury to Trey White popped up. Now, all of a sudden, he might be starting week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. That's a little concerning. But I think overall, like for me, I'm more just excited the season's here. I care far more now that where they're at. What do you look like in January? I brought this up a lot with the preseason. But preseason is so much more fun as a bad team or an average team because you can get genuinely excited about rookies performing really well or this random camp guy doing really well because you're looking for any semblance of talent. You're looking for anything to grab onto.
So much blind optimism in the preseason.
100%. And when you're that bad team, you need any of that. It's the same with the draft too, where as a good team, we're just praying to God that it's not a bust where a bad team's like, oh, this is our next superstar. This is the next face of our franchise. For good teams in the preseason, you're just hoping to get through it. You're not going to learn anything. The only thing you can learn or feel like you've learned is bad things. We're still bad on third down defense. Our receivers still can't separate. The offense doesn't look, what have you. It's the same with week 1 or the starts of these seasons. Bad teams or average teams, you take any win you can get. You're looking to get to 9-10 wins, have a surprise season. Get towards the end of the year where week 18. You're the game that got flexed because, oh my goodness, blankety blank is in this position. Here they go. Where for a team like Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, drop to 0-1, you're like, okay, on to the next. Who do we got? Oh, we have the Jets and then the Dolphins. Oh, we have the Saints. Cool. We're going to be 4-1 going into Atlanta. We'll be just fine. Could I be completely wrong on that? Sure. But I've gotten to this point with this team, and as much as people will give grief on Sean McDermott, I think some of it is justified. I'll also say this team is one of the most consistent in football. They really don't have bad years. Even when it looks like they're going to maybe have a bad year, they'll win 11 games and win a playoff game.
Yep, that's true. And to the other point, and I've seen this happen multiple times, not only for the Bills, but across the NFL. I'll say this. I want you guys to see how serious I am. Week 1 is a liar, okay? Every year this happens. And actually, I took to X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it already, I think it was about a week and a half ago. And I said, I fully expect the Bills to lose this game. And I'm not being a Debbie Downer, but as Chris Maz kind of stated from the jump, Ravens have vengeance on their mind. We ended their season. And I think that, not that this game doesn't mean a lot to the Bills, but I think it means more to the Ravens, especially them coming into our house. And they have a big chip on their shoulder. When I think to an extent, they're a little bit more not only physical on the offensive side of the ball, potentially, but I mean, with the injuries that I want to talk and ask about with you guys right now, I mean, they might have one of the best secondaries, if not the best secondary this year in the league. If you look at, they got 4 former number 1 picks on their back end at corner, and obviously they brought over Jair Alexander to kind of solidify them. But I mean, they seem like a juggernaut on paper. Obviously, they still got to go in between the lines, the white lines, and play the game. But I would not be surprised at all to see the Bills drop this game. Like you mentioned, Zach, we've dropped games to lesser teams in past years. But it's not. I also said in that same tweet, it is not indicative of what this team will be when inevitably they hit on all cylinders later in this year when it starts to count. And we want to peak. It's about peaking at the right time. The team that wins the Super Bowl is usually the team that peaks at the right time. So don't go into full panic mode. And like I said, don't worry if we lose this first game, because I think the Ravens have a ton to play for, and they're going to have a chip on the shoulder. Now, with that being said, we did kind of mention this a little bit. So today was significant. Wednesday, the first injury report came out today. Trey White didn't practice, so that's concerning, although I think a lot of us assumed that he was iffy to start. Obviously, we're already out without Hairston, our first-round pick, who's on IR for at least 4 weeks before they can reevaluate him and he can start practicing. Benford being out is interesting because I think that was a little bit under the radar. That caught me off guard. Keon also being limited is going to be probably questionable, and some other players. So I want to kind of hear your guys' thought about, what some of the kind of, I guess, not the fringe players on the roster, but, some of these backup corners, especially these DBs, like you guys talked about, are going to have to be thrust into a starting role potentially. But, what do you think about that? And then also, is this maybe a situation where this will be kind of a trial by fire for them, but this is going to also solidify their depth early in the season so that, like I said, our core defense can be stronger, and be a little bit better battle tested, towards the middle and the end of the season. What are your guys' thoughts and how that might affect the game and I guess moving forward?
Yeah, the injuries are concerning. I mean, Derek, I think you even said this on Twitter. Like, last year was the year of the wrist. This year it's the year of the groin, apparently. I mean,
Yep.
4 of the guys have groin injuries, including Tyler
Right.
Bass, who, I mean, Bass, I'm still thrown at what's going on there. They brought in 3 kickers, don't sign any of them. It seems like it's going to be Bass, but he's limited today. I mean, we'll see where that goes. In terms of the corner depth, I feel like it's been a bit of a kind of a full circle, maybe a 180 is maybe more appropriate here. Because initially after the draft and even the rookie camp and mandatory mini camp, it's Dorian Strong looks great. Maxwell Harrison, of course, and then you brought in Dane Jackson, Jamarcus Ingram in a pinch was really good, and then Trey White, and then the start of training camp, you get the word in from a lot of the reporters that White looks really good, and that's huge. It'll allow you to not have to force Harrison into an inappropriate spot and allow him to grow naturally. And then about a month happened, and it was just like, "Ooh, all right, we're hitting kind of a spot here that's really testing your depth." Harrison goes down with his LCL sprain. Dorian Strong, and not bad by any means, but definitely hasn't been flashing. Trey White picks up now what we know is a groin injury. It's one of those things, with depth guys. For me, and I've used this example a lot. They're not college rosters. They are not 90 guys deep. They're not all of a sudden our 5th running back is going to start, but don't worry, he's a 5-star sophomore. Like that's not how it is. Like you get to your 4th string guy in any position, you're struggling. And so if it's got to be Jamarcus Ingram, if it's got to be Dane Jackson come Sunday night, you got to deal with it, to a certain extent. I think that's where though, having guys like Matt Milano back is going to be massive. We have not seen Matt Milano capital letters kind of deal in a few years here. We have not really seen him and Terrell Bernard together. I'm also really curious to see what Cole Bishop looks like now that he's really gotten his run here. McDermott's mentioned kind of him building up his calluses. We've now had a run here where he's been healthy and he's been with rep. But that corner depth is going to be tested. I at least can leave, though, knowing Dane Jackson can do a job. And Jamarcus Ingram, when he's been asked to do a job in the short interim, look at the Dolphins game. The Dolphins game last year, he goes in there, and for about a week, he had people believing, like, oh, my goodness, they've done it again. They have found this undrafted late-round corner. They've done it again. Again, it's in the short term, and that's where it makes me feel good about, where Travius White is, and also it makes me feel good about where the injuries for Baltimore are at. Their run game is not going to be what it is. They might have to run more 3 wide receiver sets. That's not necessarily what they want to do. They don't want to necessarily have to change up how they do things because their efficiency goes down. That could help the Bills, exponentially. I think for me, though, what gets me worried is even though I think they've improved the defensive line, I'm really excited for guys like Deion Walker and TJ Sanders. If the secondary is even slightly exposed, that 3rd down animal that they had last year, they were one of the worst 3rd down conversion rates last year in terms of defense. I think bottom 5 of the league. It'll rear its ugly head early. Baltimore's not a great test for even in a fully healthy Bills defense for this year. It'd be a terrible first test. It'd be one of those like, hey, chalk it up. It happened. Keep it in your back pocket. But that's not what this team's going to be. It might be a hell of a run on Sunday night. I'm not saying it's going to be 45-42 kind of score, but it might look a lot like the AFC Championship from last year where you're going to have to score 30 to win this.
I actually am going to counter on something about what you said. I think this is a great test. Why not look at one of the better teams in the National Football League to see just how far you are, along with the revamped defense, everything like that. This is a great test, probably better than any that you'd want. Do I want to be dealing with, say, Justin Fields and the New York Jets in week 1 if I can get a better evaluation from them within reason with Baltimore? I think so, actually. I think I want to see what they can do against a tough challenge. If they end up, say, after week 1, middle of the pack, hey, that's a win in my book. We'll take it, wrap it up, ship it off, and forget it. The thing that is a little bit of a concern, though, is how long is this corner injury report going to be an issue that it's being tested right away? One game is one game. Benford is limited. I do think that that's not the worst thing in the world. Hopefully his groin issue clears up pretty quickly there. Trey White, same thing. How long is this being dealt with? Are they just going to store Dane Jackson on the practice squad to use him and elevate him for 4 games? Which would be exactly the timeline they need to get Hairston back. But if that's the case, why wasn't Trey White put on IR? That means that he's not as banged up as we'd think. Tomorrow, Thursday, is going to be the big day to find out what really is going on with a lot of these players, because sometimes limited on Wednesday means full go on Thursday. Sometimes limited on Thursday means no go Thursday. Limited Wednesday and then no go on Thursday.
He might also be getting a pseudo vet rest day, considering he is now 30 years old. So that
Thursday
might have to do with it.
Thursday's the major one. That's where you're going to see where the injuries are trending at that point. Coleman, I think, is fine. Shakir being full was a surprise. On the positive side of things, Khalil Shakir, full participant in practice after a high ankle sprain. Sick. We'll take that. Everyone would take that. That means that the Bills actually have a counterpunch now against Baltimore, because do remember, the Bills offense looks toothless when Shakir gets injured in that game. It looks a little bit more toothless. The Bills then, after a couple weeks, say, we have to trade for somebody, and they acquire Amari Cooper. That is where I think this is actually a good test. The defense needs to show its improvements, especially within the front 7. If Milano is back to being Matt Milano, look out. If Joey Bosa is as good as advertised, this is a game where you're going to need him. Can you get the leg up on Baltimore for the 1 seed? Absolutely. You beat them on a relatively routine basis. I think that a lot of people get worried about Baltimore because they did the one thing that Bills fans hadn't seen for 4 years, which is blow them out. The last time the Bills had suffered a blowout before that Baltimore game was Indianapolis in 2021.
Oh, we know that one well. We were there in that rainy Jonathan Taylor
300. Was a 300-yard game, or at least 200. Multiple
touchdowns.
God.
Yeah.
I was the opposite. I had taken part in the 11-day power play the night before, did breakfast with the Bills, went out to breakfast, went home, took a nap, slept through the first half of the Bills game, looked at my phone. First thing I did was check the fantasy game, where I was facing Jonathan Taylor, and he had like 40 points. I'm like, I'm going back to bed.
You call it that.
I was like, I'm going back to sleep. We're done here. And that was that. But that's the last time they suffered a blowout, was 2021. So I think a lot of people have a little bit of a fear bunker with Baltimore because we're not used to seeing the Bills get annihilated on the scoreboard. And Baltimore was the one that did it. And they have this elite running game, and they've got this strong roster. At some point, you just got to live with it, because the Bills are a good team. The Ravens are a good team. You have to face good teams eventually in the playoffs. And I do have a terrible situation to line up here if we're going to do anything season prediction wise or something. I'm going to give you guys a nightmare scenario. Zach knows what I'm talking about because I brought it up off the air today. We didn't have a chance to say this on the Extra Point Show. So congrats, guys. I'm giving it to you.
Love it.
Nice. Breaking it here. Let's go. What do you got?
Yes. To all 682 watchers, here you go.
For all 682 watchers, look, the Bills, the one thing they haven't done is they haven't gotten the 1 seed. I saw predictions from NFL Network. 2 of them had the Bills getting the 1 seed. One of them had the Chiefs at the 7, and another had them at the 6.
Was that the Good Morning Football Crew? I think I saw that this morning. Yes.
How messed up would it be for the Bills to finally get the 1 seed and then see Kansas City in the divisional round like it's curling on the monkey's paw, like, haha, you got your wish.
Right.
But here's Kansas City again, and then everyone starts.
I think I also saw Kyle Brandt. He had a scenario where the Chiefs somehow got the 1 seed too. It's like, man, Yeah,
That was the other one. That was the
yeah.
third one, was Kyle Brandt not giving the Bills the 1 seed.
They had the 3.
Chiefs, Ravens, Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it's more of the same. You got to punch each other in order to find out who has the right to punch Kansas City. And I think both teams want to avoid that. However, it does seem like, just like in Avengers Endgame, I am inevitable.
So, but hey.
Is that the one I fell asleep through, Chris?
Yeah, you most definitely fell asleep during Avengers Endgame.
Sean!
Yeah,
I probably was awake for 10 minutes of that movie.
He may have been.
Did you drive 9 hours for that one too?
No. Did
Brother.
I? I think I flew to Richmond.
You did something. You had either some bit of travel, but you were most definitely imbibing heavily before. That was also like the weekend of my 30th birthday. So,
all the boys flew in for Chris's birthday.
It was a good time for that. But I don't think you lasted 15 minutes for that. Shocking.
No, I have no idea what happens in that movie.
Gone.
Yeah.
You know who could have told you? LaShawn McCoy.
Oh, he told the world.
I do remember that.
World. My dog, Tony Stark.
My dog. He just misspelled Tony.
Yeah,
and it ruined
misspells
it for
everybody.
Oh, man. That's how it got through. He misspelled it. And I don't think he did it on purpose.
No, not even a little. Yeah, but to kind of circle back more on the Ravens there, but man, what a throwback with that one right there.
There's your monkey's paw scenario, though. The Bills get a 1 seed, and the Chiefs end up losing the division, and it's like, oh, great, so we still have to meet them in the divisional round anyway. I hate everything. So there you go, everyone. There's your nightmare scenario. You're welcome.
We'll blame LaShawn McCoy's spoilers for that.
You can blame me. I'm okay with it. I'm used to it at this point.
Fair. But talking about the Ravens now, their first injury report came out today as well. Tight end Isaiah Likely and fullback Patrick Ricard did not practice due to their own injuries. Sean mentioned Jair Alexander. He's a big part of their secondary now, but he also practiced for the first time in a couple of weeks, limited fashion, of course. So we talked about this a little bit already. Ravens are stacked, top to bottom, looking at a lot of the parts on the defense. I know Roquan Smith is one of their key pieces as a linebacker right there. Kyle Hamilton just signed a mega money as a safety. I mean, they're going to be front and center to face the Bills in every scenario. But turnovers save the Bills in the divisional round. And do you both believe, and Sean, obviously feel free to chime on this as well, do you guys believe it's going to need to be a similar type of strategy or game plan just to try and rely on those turnovers? Because, again, game planning for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, no easy task. What do you guys say?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, if you go back and look at the offensive numbers for the Bills that game, they're pretty pedestrian. Like, I mean, that's a game they really, I don't want to say they got by, but like even the build up to that game, I didn't have great feelings about like just overall feeling like the Bills were the better team. I thought the Bills in a way had luck on their side. Like it was just things were matching up for them. It was working. Who cares if the turnovers might go away next year? Like it's working. And it continued to, by the way, like against Baltimore. But the moment the turnovers dried up, Baltimore had zero issue driving down the field and making that a game. I mean, I think it was 21-10 at one point in the Bills' favor. It looked like they were going to blow them out, and they really could never get away. I will say I like their wide receiver room a lot better this year. I think Joshua Palmer might legitimately be kind of a diamond in the rough. I think he fits everything Allen wants in a receiver in terms of that quick twitch, get open fast, I'll get you the ball, and you go do what you got to do. I think that fits his style of quarterback. I'm excited about Keon Coleman in year number 2. If anything, I'm a little bullish on him and what I think he can be. But I think it is going to have to be something along those lines of the Bills force the Ravens into mistakes. It's not the postseason. The Ravens of the regular season are a well-oiled machine. They don't turn the ball over. They usually beat the hell out of teams. The difference is, though, is they have had their own issues to start years. They get really, really good to end the year. They are less, buttoned up to start the year. Last year was that exactly. I mean, they lose a game to the Raiders. Isaiah Likely wears size 10 shoes instead of 12. They beat Kansas City, but they what did they start 2-2 last year? And so I think that's more my thing is Allen and Jackson are both 4-2 in their week 1 starts as quarterbacks. They have also dropped some of these games for them. It's going to be a heavyweight fight. The crowd is of course going to be on Buffalo's side. I think there is like a little bit of fear though for Bills fans, for Bills Mafia, of like you kind of just know Baltimore, Kansas City, Baltimore's a top 5 roster. I think just flat out. I think they could probably have a top 5 defense, top 5 offense pretty comfortably. Where I think for a lot of Bills fans, we've gotten to the point with Kansas City, they're just a pain in the ass, but they're not unstoppable. They're not the end all be all. They're just a pain. Where Baltimore kind of feels like this. I mean, Jackson's compared a lot to Peyton Manning in this sense. I think for Baltimore, really, it's just like, man, I really hope they don't figure it out soon. Like, I really need them to just kind of hold off, let the Bills get their 1 or 2, and then Jackson can kind of figure it out in the playoffs. Because if they do, it is a really, really good roster. It might be in the short term. I mean, Jackson has to rework his contract because if not, the next 2 years are going to be a little frustrating. Me and Derek, we had Kyle Goon on from the Baltimore Banner today, and he mentioned that they're going to be in a tough spot the next 2 years if they don't get that restructure. But yeah, I think it is going to have to be a little bit like last year. I think it is going to. Now, the positive to that, though, the Bills don't regress in terms of takeaways. They seem to just stay in the top 5 every year. That's just kind of what they do. And you know, guys like Jamarcus Ingram play into that. I mentioned the Miami game. Him and James Cook kind of win that game for the Bills single-handedly. Like, no one else really has to do much. You have the Jamarcus Ingram pick 6, and James Cook runs the hell out of the ball, and they're good. And so maybe that's what they need to be. But also, I will tell you, and I mentioned it not that long ago, the defensive line. I think that might be a genuine difference from last year. I think Greg Rousseau is in for a breakout year. And I think the early returns you're already getting from TJ Sanders and Deion Walker really point to them having an interior pass rush that could maybe be an envy of the league. That's being, you know, very aggressive, and that might not, you know, even be true after this year. It could be true down the line. But you add that with then Joey Bosa, who looked very good in his very brief appearance in the preseason. I think that's where I have a little bit more belief in this defense is actually the defensive line and the linebackers, is that maybe it doesn't have to be so turnover reliant because they are, in a way, set up much better than they were in the AFC divisional round.
Zach, you kind of set it up, and I'm going to knock it down for you. It will be like the playoff game because while you started talking, I went digging.
Mm-hmm.
And as then you said that the Bills don't avoid the top 10, I present to you this napkin of turnovers caused by the Bills defense. And I'm telling you right now, as you look at it, they are no lower than 10th. And that was in 2019. Ever since then, 4th, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, and 3rd in terms of defensive turnovers caused. It's their livelihood, but it's not that they live and die by it. It's that they happen all the time. It is a consistent factor with them. Despite being a high variance stat, the Bills are consistently a top 5 defense in terms of taking the football away. That's unreal. The kind of consistency for a defense, even when it changes players, to be able to take the football away and get it back and take advantage of that, that's a huge thing to do. And Zach, you did mention that the Ravens are, in the regular season, they're a different monster. However, so are the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one of the ways that they are a monster, they take the football away. They make sure they take the football away, and they make sure that you pay for it, typically. Outside of what? The 1.5 years that we had Kenneth Dorsey calling the plays? I said that, and I shouldn't have.
How kind of you to call him by his full name, Kenneth Dorsey.
That's because I'm mad at him, still, to this day. I will never forgive the crimes that he put of the lack of spacing concepts into his playbook. You had 2 receivers running next to each other, and that's why Allen's getting picked off more than usual in 22. Like, I said it. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have gotten myself angry there, but I did because that's just the trap that I set for myself. But to go back to this, I would absolutely count on the Bills causing turnovers because it's literally part of their defensive livelihood. No matter who the personnel is, they take the football away and they make sure you regret it.
Yep. Yeah, completely agreed. It's just kind of in their DNA. That's for as much as Sean McDermott and the defense have maybe failed to finish games in the playoffs, as we know, as consistent as that's been, they've been equally as consistent in taking the ball away and getting those turnovers. And that's kind of like been the great equalizer. And most people say, well, you can't rely on that. And there's due to be some regression. Derek just kind of pointed out that it's a staple and it's the DNA of the defense. They're a very opportunistic defense. They have players like Milano being back at full strength and full health. And like Bernard, like these guys are, we know Milano's been a ball hawk when he's been healthy in his career. And Bernard and some of these other like unheralded players punching the balls out at random times. And that's what you saw in that Baltimore game last year. So again, I think we will see a couple turnovers. Now, the one reason, and this is kind of I think the main reason why I'm foreseeing a potential loss in this game, and going back to it, I hope that the Bills win this game because I would much rather have the positioning to go 1-0 against a team we're very likely to be head to head with in a 1-seed scenario. If they were to lose this game, I do think, Derek, you said something that kind of struck a chord in me. I like to see them, not get hyped up at the beginning of the season and maybe go on a run where we've seen in the past and then play a tough team that's not a cupcake and get smashed because we haven't played anybody. So I like that aspect of it, that we're playing a good physical team who's arguably has a better roster than us out the gate. So I think that there is something to be said that if it does happen, it's not the worst thing. But as far as how this game actually plays out, I do see the Bills getting some turnovers. But for some reason, the one player that I have, and I've been doing fantasy drafts like I'm sure you guys have, a lot of our viewers have been probably doing drafts too. I had 2 in the last 2 days. A guy that no one's really talking about, and I think this is going to be his game. I think Zay Flowers is going to kill them this week. No one's talking about it, and I think it's all kind of there in terms of like the weakness being the secondary and his speed.
And he wasn't there in the divisional round. Yeah, he was not there during the divisional round.
He didn't play. He didn't play, and he's healthy. And the guy was an absolute stud at Boston College when he played. I believe he was Boston College, right? Yeah. So I think you're gonna have a healthy Zay Flowers. I just think that's one guy that they didn't have to account for, who's uber talented in his speed. And when you have potentially 1 or maybe 2 backup corners, I think that's going to be a major X factor for them. So if they can give Lamar time to uncork some deep balls, I could see the Bills getting beat by not only like some of the intermediate routes, being able to kind of run good routes and get away in like the medium and the short range, but I see them maybe getting beat by multiple deep balls. I'm not hoping it doesn't happen, but I just have this gut feeling that's going to happen this game. And I think when you saw like Derrick Henry, and obviously the running game, that the hammer that they have, I think the Bills can adjust to that because even the backup DBs that we have on the field, their MO in college is they're good at tackling. So, and we have our linebackers back healthy. We have a fortified D line with more beef kind of in the middle with Walker and some of these other guys, a healthy Daquan. So I think we'll be able to stop the run, but I don't know, man. I just have this feeling that this is going to be the Zay Flowers game, man.
I think that's totally fair. I mean, as you guys brought up, he wasn't there in the divisional round, which I think is part of why people maybe hadn't brought him up, is that he wasn't a factor the last time these two played. And also, like, to kind of bring up their offense, the Bills had to key in on the run game. I mean, like, they keyed in on Derrick Henry and what they wanted to do there, and they made him uncomfortable. They did the same thing against Detroit. Detroit wanted to run the ball early. When they couldn't, it made them uncomfortable. It got them off tempo, and the Bills were able to capitalize on it. Baltimore still wants to do that. I wonder how successfully they can do it, though, if guys like Likely and Ricard are out. And so they may have to force, quote unquote force. I mean, it'll be a good decision to do it. But I think if that becomes kind of the staple for them, where they try to run the ball, it doesn't go particularly well, and the Bills can capitalize early, I think that's where you can get it to where even if it is a Zay Flowers game, you're okay. I'd be a little surprised if they get hit a couple deep balls, even when the Bills safety room specifically was not what it needed to be. They didn't really give up a ton of them still, and I do believe in Cole Bishop. I think he was put in a bad spot. Not really. I mean, for fans to freak out, yeah, he was put in a bad spot. But I think the coaching staff knew what they wanted to do with him when they put him out there for the Bears game. I still believe in him. I mean, like, that's the highest draft pick they've put into that position. Even Poyer and Hyde were not that highly picked, I don't believe. And of course, I mean, even like when they went to Cleveland and Green Bay respectively.
I think Hyde was a second rounder, and Poyer was like mid-round, maybe fifth.
Yes,
something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but, Hyde was a 5th rounder, and Poyer was a 7th rounder for the Eagles. Actually, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
He was cut by the Eagles.
then, yeah, like, I mean, the Bills, I mean, this is the highest, quote unquote athlete they've gone after. He fits the bill. He's 6'2", 210, runs very fast for a safety. He's picked up injuries at bad times. It's not even that he's like made of quote unquote peanut brittle. He's just picked them up at bad times. Last year, he missed 3 weeks of training camp in his rookie year, which it's not always talked about a lot because it's not very sexy. But your rookie year is basically you holding on for dear life and hoping you don't fall off. I mean, it goes from the end of your college season right into draft prep, into interview prep, into the combine, into the draft, it's just on and on and on and on and on. And then once you get to the season, it's longer than your typical college season is. It's only changing somewhat now, and unless you're on Ohio State, you haven't experienced that kind of long season. Bishop then kind of figures it out, gets 10 tackles in the AFC Championship game, which, to be fair, is kind of more of a key on the Bills' defense wasn't playing particularly well, that the safety had 10 tackles. And then he gets hurt for like 2 weeks this year, just as he's, comfortably the starting safety next to Taylor Rapp. He picks that up. They've got to kind of quickly get him going again, get the reps going, get the quote-unquote calluses going. And he goes up against a Bears team that, and I don't fault the Bears for this at all, but Ben Johnson wants to build a much different culture there. He wants to build a winning culture. He wants to get everyone going. And for the crap that Caleb Williams has taken for a few weeks, probably want to give him some confidence. And they come up with a game plan, and they whoop the Bills' ass. Just flat out. And Cole Bishop was on the field for some of that. It led to people being more worried about him than I think maybe they should have been. I'm not saying the guy's going to be a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro, but I think he's going to be better than they had last year. And they didn't really give up a ton of deep balls. I think where I'm maybe more nervous is if Flowers is if he really is just feasting on the corners. The safety room, I think, will be fine. It really is if all of a sudden Jamarcus Ingram, Dane Jackson, God forbid both of them, if Benford can't go, that it doesn't really matter what the Bills are doing, because you also have to worry about Rashad Bateman. You also have to worry about DeAndre Hopkins being out there and Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews is going to want to make up for the fact that he had those two crucial plays between the fumble and the drop 2-point conversion. So
exactly, and he's in. I mean, he's been part of this whole run of them just falling short, and he was maybe the main factor of them not winning the game last year in Buffalo. So he'll probably be out with some level of vengeance. I think that's where I almost am sort of. Again, I don't want it, and the second kickoff happens, I'm going to be rocking and rolling. Let's go Bills! But leading up to the game, a part of me is almost like anticipating, accepting, whatever you want to call it, a loss to Baltimore, because I think it does, in a way, mean more for Baltimore. You fell right into everyone says about you in the playoffs. You turn the ball over, your big players didn't hit, and you dropped out far earlier than you should have. And it's kind of 2 years in a row with the AFC Championship as well, where you changed your offense inexplicably for it to happen. I think for Baltimore, there is a sense of pride where I think for Buffalo, and not to say that Baltimore's not this mature team, but I think Buffalo's even gotten to that point too of like, it's a long season. We don't win week 1, so be it. We'll win week 2, we'll win week 3, what have you. Like, you look at the rest of the Bills' schedule going up to the bye. I've mentioned this a lot with Eric on the Extra Point Show. It's a soft underbelly. Like, Baltimore sucks to open up the year. And then your next toughest game is Atlanta right before the bye.
Yeah.
I will say, vengeance can blind people, though. You get players like Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews who had crucial mistakes in that game in Buffalo in the divisional round. They might be gripping the ball a little too tight, maybe thinking one too many things of, I can't screw it up like I did last time. And Lamar has a bad interception to start that game, and then a fumble on he rescues a bad snap, but like he tries to do too much with it. DeMar Hamlin trips him up, and then it's a fumble being returned the other way, almost for a touchdown, if not for Von Miller on the last of his legs. And then Mark Andrews, the ball punch out, the 2-point conversion drop. It might sit with them. Like, that's the other thing. Like, oh, Baltimore's out for vengeance. Yeah, that might also be blinding them. It might also be consuming them. It might kind of lead to some missteps. And when you are angry, you can be desperate. And when you are desperate, you make mistakes. And then what does Buffalo do with their defense? Capitalize on that.
I think this comment that John Sanders asked before, can we trick Lamar thinking it is a playoff game? It'll definitely have that playoff atmosphere for sure.
You may not have to
again,
do much.
Home opener. I mean, home
Right.
opener at the final season at Highmark. I mean, it will have that playoff-like atmosphere. So,
and the vengeance thing. You could be blinded by it. You could try to press. You could try to do too much, to a point where if the Bills funnel it back to Lamar, like they have in victories, when they put it in Lamar Jackson's hands, they can get the best out of it. That's what they had to do in the divisional round. It's what they've done in Baltimore in the regular season, and it's what they also did in the divisional round in the COVID year. They stifle the run game, they make Lamar have to beat them, and they prepare their way better than anyone else, I really think, in order to stop him from tearing you up in the air. If you want to look at success against the pass with Lamar Jackson, Buffalo's a good case study.
I mean, it's so much to really like take into consideration because like, do you commit to him running? Do you commit to Derrick Henry, just trying to stop him at all costs? I mean, a lot of different factors. But to kind of take a bit of a side break, want to do just a quick note from our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. So, game on. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. This isn't just football, it's first touchdown fireworks, anytime TD rushes, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. The Buffalo Bills, currently favored to win every one of their games this year. Just saying. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So, in partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in New York. Call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Fees may apply in Illinois. Ages 21 plus, and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire in 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. And that is a limited time offer. Back to our regularly scheduled programming. My robot is now off.
Great live ad read, Chris, right there. That was a mouthful.
I now understand why they speed through that.
Oh yes,
in post-production.
I also we also normally we pre-record them too.
Yes, doing that one a little bit more on the fly, only because we talked to our network partners. They want to make sure those are part of the middle. I wanted to ensure that it happened this time. So hey, Hockey Podcast Network, specifically Kyle, that one was for you. Anyway, back to, again, our regularly scheduled programming. Hard Knocks just ended last night. Derek, when we had you on last, I know it's your favorite thing to talk about, but when we last had you on, we were just kind of making some prediction about what we thought it was going to be. I don't want to do like a victory lap here, but what I thought originally came true is that they were going to be boring. They were dull. Like, I mean, credit to the folks who do the Bills Embedded. Those are very good. Those are very well produced, well made, but it felt like, let's just say, like a version of that, except with more swearing. I thought, but at the same time, it was cool. It was great for Bills fans to really like have that opportunity to have like the national stage more than anything. But again, you felt very safe watching it. I mean, I read Tim Graham's article in The Athletic today, how you didn't really get any new deep unfolding storylines. Like the James Cook thing was kind of like went out with a fizzle, not a bang, because again, that's been talked about plenty with how his contract situation went out. But still, not much really from the drama standpoint. But again, that's what the Bills wanted from this whole thing. Sean, I know, was a little bit more on the side of maybe we'll get a little bit more humor and just some electric comedy reels from, say, people like Keon Coleman. But he was barely even featured throughout the entire series. Zach, I was going to say, I see Derek pointing to Zach.
Yeah, I wanted
more drama too.
I was not necessarily drama. Yes, drama, because I'm big on that. But I genuinely thought when the new restrictions came out for Hard Knocks, like the big thing, this is obviously now months ago, it was like, hey, winning teams can now be on Hard Knocks, and that was a huge difference. And I was like, the Bills are an easy choice. Josh Allen just won the MVP. Buffalo hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. Keon Coleman is wildly entertaining. Let's go. I mean, you got Josh Allen. That's kind of about it. The James Cook stuff, even when he started his holding, you got like 5 minutes, and they're like, "Here's Ray Davis, by the way."
Yeah,
and
here's
Jimmy
the running back
Charlo.
room. Yeah. Jimmy Charlo was the star. Hell, the Bills social media guys last night. The Bills social media guys were finally reintroduced, being the guys that we now know get to make those beautiful, just absolutely absurd, like game-winning, like W TikTok videos. So now we know they are the madmen behind those. So credit to them.
I say this with all respect. They looked exactly how I would imagine them. I'm like, that's exactly the mad scientist I'm looking for. That works for me. But like, it's just, and I'm fine with it. Like, I ultimately, I'm with a lot of fans. I kind of wanted them to be boring. It's not the same when you have, like I mentioned, like, a good team. They just kind of want to get through the preseason. Like, it doesn't really mean as much to them. McDermott's been open about saying, like, they don't game plan for the preseason. A bad team, the Bears, from what was that last year? Cleveland under Hugh Jackson. I mean, you want to see everything with them because, to be fair, they're poorly run. So even like internally, where they're like allowing certain things to happen, you're sitting there going, "Why? How?" I look at that with like the Giants, with Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. I still believe this. I think during that in-season, or the off-season edition, I think Shane and the Giants wanted the clip of him saying they didn't want to pay Saquon Barkley. I think they wanted that out there. The problem was it bit them immediately. Saquon was amazing. He's what the 9th ever 2,000-yard rusher. He won every award he could, including the Super Bowl. It went disastrously for them. The Bills have been at this a lot longer. They're like, cool, you're talking to basically only people that won't make our roster and Josh. That's it. That's who you're talking to. I mean, again, like I meant Jimmy Charlo, I laughed at, but HBO has to be thanking their stars that the Bills signed that guy. He's great. And there was a lot of fans genuinely wanting the Bills to sign him for just kind of everything about him. Army West Point, great on special teams. He does exactly what you want. Outside of him, you got an episode and a half out of Trey White. You didn't get much out of Deion Dawkins either. And he's everywhere in the media. I mean, he's on, Colin Cowherd's show. He's on Rich Eisen's show. He's on Good Morning Football. He's on all that stuff. And you didn't really get a lot of it. And to be fair, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think it's also just pretty much, it's not the same as it used to be anyway. When it comes down to it, Hard Knocks being the drama-laden show that it has always been in the past, it's not the same as what it was when Rex Ryan's like, let's go get a bleeping snack. Like, it just, that raw emotion of it is there, but the drama isn't there because teams have the central message now. Teams get to deploy the final say. They get to have some sort of editorial processes in this now. Even the Bears last year with Eberflus and Shane Waldron, who everyone knew that was a bad idea, and you can kind of even see it in Hard Knocks, they still are able to propagate the message of, we're hopeful heading into this year. And then they start 4-2, they take their bye week, and then proceed to fall Wile E. Coyote style off the cliff. So that's the other thing about it, is that Hard Knocks is not the same. And when you put a good team into it, you're not surprised at that point when it is indeed boring. I am sad that we did not get enough Keon Coleman for my liking, but I also think that might be Coleman trying to focus more on being more of the receiver, less of the personality.
Right. All about that.
That could be Coleman. I didn't get enough of Trey White, though. I didn't get enough of Deion Dawkins, as Zach pointed out. The man's everywhere. The man has the personality to be in media, and he will be one day. But, man, you did not get enough of it. And the thing you got probably gave Bills management a heart attack.
Yeah. Did anyone know he was big into drifting until that episode happened?
Oh, yeah.
Did anyone know
that? Yeah, shout out to former guest. So our buddy Nick, who's one of the sponsors of the show, he's Deion's personal camera guy, his videographer. So I hear all the inside scoop of what Deion's into.
So
the idea of like, there's like one Bills like trainer out there that didn't know that. Watch the episode. What's Deion doing?
Right.
Not to mention with his kids riding shotgun.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, it was the best. It was the best.
Yeah, but I mean, all in all, like from a Bills fan's perspective, it was an enjoyable experience, I think. But I mean, obviously, it's behind us, literally, with the regular season now upon us. But still, figure like touching upon Hard Knocks was just like appropriate to do. But at the same time, I'm just glad it's done because that gives a now definitive period, exclamation point, end punctuation of your choice on the preseason. Totally behind us now. No more preseason pledges, as you guys like to say at the station, of course.
Right.
But yes.
Oh,
Hey, Chris, can I chime in one real quick?
Yes, go for
I
it.
I know Chris definitely is going to get into in a second some prediction stuff, which I want to get into. But it's just for a matter of current events. I love to hear your guys' thought. I don't know, you might have talked about this on the radio, but obviously travel and I'm not aware. What did you guys think of the two moves to sign both Poyer and then bring in Gabe Davis in, both to the practice squad? What do you guys think as far as like, I kind of think Gabe definitely will be in a position to be elevated and we'll see the field just based on his age and his relationship with Josh in terms of, their chemistry. And I think Poyer is going to probably be more so in that Hyde role, like last year, just being kind of a mentor. But yeah, I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts about those two moves.
Yeah, I mean, for Poyer, we mentioned it right at the start too. We were kind of irritated that like we had 20 minutes of like, oh, content, like let's go. He's going to start. Right. Oh no, he's not. Okay, he's going to practice squad. I think he was probably Hyde's kind of role last year. No disrespect, he looked absolutely shot last year in Miami. I still think the Keon Coleman injury, where he hurts his wrist, is purely him just not fast enough anymore, like losing that step, and that's that's no shame. I think it did happen, though. I think he's here for the more mentorship role and the idea of, if worse comes to worse, he knows the system. You can put him in there in a pinch. And again, it's kind of the same with Hyde, though. It's break classification emergency. He's talking a little bit differently than Hyde did last year. Hyde was very open about the fact that he was not going to play unless, he had to. Poyer, I think, more wants to play. I just don't think will. Gabe is an interesting one, because it's almost difficult to talk about Gabe Davis anymore. And I'll be quick on this because I've said this a lot on air, but they nailed the value of what Gabe Davis was out of UCF, a 4th-round pick. And he was a instrumental part of their offense from the word go. He was being used heavily for them. The biggest problem was the Bills believed he was a number 2 receiver, and he just wasn't. And if here's a 4th-round pick, it's understandable. They moved on. If he comes in, though, and gets healthy, and we do know that he's going to be going to the practice squad and healing up from his torn meniscus from last year. If he comes in, though, and is their wide receiver 3 or 4, you can do a ton worse than Gabe Davis. A ton worse. I don't think him and Allen had the greatest, on-field chemistry. I think there was way too many moments, especially in that last year, where they were both clearly thinking very different things, and it led to a number of interceptions from Allen. But if he's, again, your wide receiver 3 or 4, and Palmer and Coleman and Shakir hit, I think you can sit pretty nice with that.
I was going to say that Eagles game stands out as one of those games where they were not on the same page. So
that's the one I think about. Yep.
I think I'm getting a little irritated at this point that they keep going back to the, as Zach likes to say it, back to the well, and constantly on familiar faces. I will say it a little bit more on a hot takey point. If either Poyer or Gabe Davis see the field this year, I think it's an indictment on the failure of the roster. Sure. Or injuries have taken their toll. It's got to be one of those two things, and there's no other reason for it. Poyer, I acknowledge that he thinks he's got the confidence to play. Hyde knew he was not playing because his neck injury pretty much prevented him from returning, and he knew it. The Bills knew it, and enough people knew it. There were some fans that wanted to see him play, desperate fans wanted to see him play, and they would ring our phone lines for that, but that it wasn't the case. It was just not happening. Poyer is back with the Bills because of poor performance, and teams did not bring him back. Like Miami didn't sign him again, and other teams didn't pick him up. So why not go to the defense that you know and you're familiar with instead? And you can sign as a practice squad player, and if you get to step on the field, you get to step on the field. But also, if you're stepping on the field, that means that the combination of what is on your current roster is either not working or injured to hell. That's it. And Gabe Davis is kind of the same thing to me now of he doesn't move the needle for me. And it has more to do with if you're not able to get a player better than one who had 0 catches for 0 yards more times in the season than anybody in NFL history. The highs are high with Gabe Davis, but those lows are he's a non-factor. You might as well actually give the jersey to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I don't see or respect about Davis's game is like, oh, he's got great chemistry with Josh Allen. Really? Because there are games where Josh Allen straight up did not throw him the football.
Goose eggs, plenty of times.
Too many times. Or he threw him the football and it wasn't caught.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm at the point of, no, I don't have an appetite to see Gabe Davis on this roster. And if he has to see the field, it's because A, we were bitching about wide receiver, and B, there's enough injuries now that he has to go in anyway.
I mean, that kind of goes into this comment again from John, thinking Poyer better than Hamlin. I mean, that's tough to say. I would argue Hamlin definitely has a little bit more athletic edge. I mean, Poyer just like
this isn't saying much, by the way. Hamlin is not very athletic, but he is.
Yeah, we've been critical of Hamlin, but not to belabor that too much further. One other point I'll make about him before transitioning further. One thing I would love to hear from Jordan Poyer is just maybe an in-depth interview of what he thought of just the Dolphins locker room vibes, especially towards the end of last season. That was it. Yeah, I mean, he got a little hint of that, just bits and pieces, just like him, just kind of talking tongue in cheek. He felt like it. He's home now. He said that yesterday on the Hard Knocks episode. Miami just didn't feel right. I mean, obviously from a number of different factors, you could say just going straight to a division rival, but just I would just love to hear an in-depth version of what he would have to say about that locker room versus the Bills in so many different regards. But to transition, so I know Derek, you've dabbled a little bit on this with your co-host Joe Cali on Sports Talk Saturday a bit, but talking a little bit more about league-wide stuff, division winners specifically. Now, you could feel free to revisit some of the ones you picked already, Derek, or go do a little heel turn on some. But I wanted to kind of get your guys' perspective just to talk about who do we think is going to be more of a contender, whether it's the AFC or NFC, just to kind of change things up and not just be specific to AFC. I do want to start with the NFC on here, and we'll go to everybody's favorite and most televised division, the NFC East, because they will be the new takers of the Hard Knocks in-season edition. So you have Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, and Giants. Plenty to talk about for all of those teams, of course. But, I mean, if we're going to go for division winner, I mean, I'm in Commanders market right now down here in Richmond. So they dominate the market and the headlines around here on all the sports talk shows. But I do think they have a chance to really usurp the Eagles. I mean, that is a division in and of itself where they do not always have a consecutive division winner year after year. So I could see them with Jaden Daniels taking an additional next step. I mean, they now equipped him with some additional offensive line help with Laramie Tunsil. Say what you will about Deebo Samuel's physique at the moment, but I do think it adds a layer of their offense that they didn't have before. Terry McLaurin is now happy and paid. They added, let's just say, more pieces to the defense, whether it is in the significantly aged Von Miller, now that he's left the Bills. I mean, he also has a god-awful number for them, 24, unless that's changed since they did roster cut down at this point. It was hideous when I saw it.
I hope that's changed.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I
didn't see that.
Yeah, last I checked, it was number 24, but woof. But
guys,
at the same time, they're doing enough to really bolster their defense. Who was the corner they drafted? It was second round. It was the injured guy. Yes, Trey Amos. Yes, we talked about him quite a bit in the draft cycle.
Zone corner.
Yep, they drafted a guard first in the first round, and again, they're trying to do everything they can to be in this rookie quarterback contract window for Jaden Daniels. I think they could take that next step. Now, beating the Eagles will not be an easy step, just because, again, defending champions, much of that defense is returning. But again, losing a couple coordinators. I mean, it's, again, being able to repeat all that success they had before. Of course, they have a lot of the horses to do so, especially with the offense and their offensive line. I think I could see them being the 5th seed, obviously losing out to Washington, but just then going neck and neck. When it comes to the Giants and the Cowboys, I mean, everybody wants to dunk on the Cowboys and Jerry Jones. for these last, let's just say 5 or 6 days that now that the Micah Parsons trade has gone final. But I do think the Cowboys may have just a slight edge over the Giants now at this point. The Cowboys are going to need to just win in shootouts or just against bad teams at this point, because that's really all they have going for them. I mean, without going too much further, I see Washington 1, Eagles 2, Cowboys 3, Giants 4. But the Giants, again, their defensive line, that can strike fear in a lot of teams' hearts. So I'll defer to you guys. What do you think of the NFC East at this point?
For me, I'm very excited. I don't know if you guys, I obviously produce for Shop and the Bulldog, and both have done we're just going to pick all the division winners parlay. I also have done it. I haven't gotten to talk about it yet, so I'm very excited.
Nice. Let's do it.
I did this a few weeks ago, so spoiler, I had the Green Bay Packers before the Michael Parsons trade. I'm on cloud nine with it.
All right.
But for the NFC East, I am going to go the Eagles. I like Washington. I love Daniels. Issue is they won so many close games last year, and I don't think they got that much better that I think it's going to kind of vault them up from a team that won a lot of close games. Also on that, for the Eagles, well, I don't think they have the best quarterback in the division. I'd argue they have the third. I'm a big Dak Prescott guy. I mentioned I like Daniels. I think they might have a future defensive player of the year in Jalen Carter. He is an exceptional talent. And then you look at the talent on offense, even if due to how many touches he had last year, Saquon Barkley takes a step back. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. There is just so much talent there that I think for me, it would take a genuine jump up from a lot of talent on Washington to see that could totally happen. And Daniels being as good of a quarterback as he is could lead them to that. I can't get there totally yet with them. So I've got Eagles. I do have Washington finish second. I then have the Giants finishing third.
Ooh,
I really like Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Derek knows I was kind of a big Dart guy.
Brother, do I know?
I was not necessarily going to be the guy to take him number one overall. But to be fair, when Pittsburgh was up, I was like, I knew it. Just take him. He's kind of a baller, the whole thing. And he looked really good in the preseason. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that he was a 3-year start in the SEC at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin as his coach. I love Malik Neighbors. That is a guy. I mean, he justified an 18-target game as a rookie? That's absurd. And then you guys brought up, their defensive line might be the best in football, genuinely. And then they added Abdul Carter, and you're like, oh my gosh, how much more do you need? And that's one of those things that I think once the plug is pulled out of the socket, Russell Wilson's the backup. I think once you get Dart in there, and I think they could be relatively early with how bad their schedule is. I like the idea of Dart giving that team a little bit of a jolt with the defensive line, with Malik Neighbors, not being the best. I still have him finishing third in the division, but having that kind of feel that New England has this year where everyone's kind of okay, they're coming, and I think they're way better set up than New England was last year going into this year.
I'm going to agree with Zach about the Giants and Cowboys finishing 3 and 4 respectively. I have it more about the Cowboys crashing out now. You don't recover from something like this where the negotiation tactic became very public, very disrespectful, and a lot of infighting that became outfighting at this point. You also look at Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and go, we signed these extensions for what? To trade our best player? That's not great business. That's not how to do things. And I do think that the Jackson Dart bump, when he's inserted in the lineup, is going to allow the Giants to get a little friskier than last year. I, however, have the Commanders winning the division. I think that Washington is a good team. I think that Jaden Daniels easily is the best quarterback in the division. And when you have the best quarterback in the division, you typically like your chances. There is one team in a certain division up north that's not the case. But at the end of the day, I do think it's about Washington's ascension. Can Jaden Daniels avoid the one thing that hits a lot of sophomore quarterbacks? The slump. Now teams have a full year of tape on you. Can you find a way to make sure that you don't have your dip in production because of that? Washington does its job trying to strengthen the offensive line, Jack Connerly Jr. being the first-round pick that they take. So they are trying to do everything they can to get Daniels more assistance. Deebo Samuel being added. He looked a little spry in the preseason, actually. He looked kind of fresh. Good. They need that from him. Can you find a way to just avoid that little sophomore slump? And because of that, though, it's also about the Eagles. what happens after a Super Bowl win? Typically, there's a dip in production. Typically. And a dip in production could still mean healthily 11 wins. And you don't win the division. That's still a dip. That's still not getting as accomplished as you were last year. That still allows that to be a dip. So I think it's going to be contentious between the two of them. It's going to be close. But I think for a couple of factors. It is because Super Bowl hangovers are real. And also, I don't really love Nick Sirianni as a head coach still. Maybe that factors into it of you're not as consistent. The highs and lows can be pretty high on variance. I think that's where I'm at with Washington.
Fair take. Sean, any other takes on the NFC East before we get to the next one?
Yeah. Real quick, I'll just say I also, my apologies to Todd, who I had my fantasy draft with, diehard Cowboys fan. I see them like you guys. I see them crashing out. I think Dak's gonna have a ton of passing yards out of necessity. He's got Pickens and he's got CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson. They're not gonna be able to stop a nosebleed on defense, unfortunately. So I have them finishing last. I also drafted Jackson Dart in a super flex league. I have him on my bench waiting for him to play meaningful snaps to then be my super flex. So I'm on.
Is that the one we're in together?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah.
And also in Todd's draft last night, as my number one receiver, I have Malik Neighbors. So I like the Giants. I like some of the pieces they have, and like you said, their D line is awesome. I think they're ascending. And then as far as the top two teams, I think it is very close. And I think with the talent being, I think the Eagles did maybe lose just like a step. And again, the complacency of winning the Super Bowl, and then the Commanders obviously trying to go up and have that hunger to kind of match that. And then being on the ascension with Jaden Daniels, who I think is going to prove this year that he's a top 5 quarterback. I think he's already basically there, but he's going to double down again. And where I get to give the Commanders a little bit of an edge is I've had some deep personal conversations with Marcus Dowden, who played for Dan Quinn personally, also played for the Bills. He had nothing but amazing things to say about Dan Quinn as a coach. So because of that and all the things I mentioned, I'm going to take the Commanders to finish one.
All right. So pretty universal love right there for Washington. So I like what I see. And I think those my Richmond friends who are tuning in, I know they'll appreciate that as well. But to kind of move on a little bit, I don't want to belabor too much on here. We'll do more of a lightning round. I wanted to focus on them because they end up being like arguably one of the most talked about divisions, I think, in all of the NFL. But for a lightning round, let's do NFC North. Who are we taking? I am going to go with obviously just fresh and recency bias. I'll go with Green Bay only because Micah Parsons being that X factor, but I don't think Detroit's going to go quietly on that. I do also see Minnesota being a potential plucky wild card winner or wild card contender for maybe that 7th seed. But at the same time, Chicago, while it'll be improved from the previous year, I don't see them getting past, say, 6 or 7 wins, even though I'm kind of hoping Caleb Williams in a dynasty league I have him in can kind of be a little bit better in his sophomore season and being under Ben Johnson's tutelage. But I'll go with Green Bay for NFC North. How about you guys real quick?
I mentioned Green Bay as well. I mean, I was before the Parsons. I love the wide receiver room. Matthew Golden, I'm obviously a Texas fan. I think he's going to be awesome. And I do wonder if the coordinators both leaving Detroit's going to hurt them. And as much as a J.J. McCarthy truther I am, I think it's, I can comfortably feel like Green Bay will take it this year.
I'm going to say it's Green Bay, Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago. I do think Minnesota is easily a wild card threat, even with J.J. McCarthy getting his first full season as a starter. I don't believe in the Bears. I don't think Caleb Williams is any good, and that's why I've got the Bears at 4.
Yeah, I also like Green Bay, but I think it's probably about 1 game separates Green Bay and Detroit. And obviously, Paz, I'm sure listening. Our dad's listening. He's a big Detroit fan. Went to a game last year, but I think that's going to be in contention all year. But I'll give it to Green Bay.
Good friend of the show, Jim. He's going back to the NFC East, so he's Bird Gang. He grew up around Philly. So, all right, fair. We'll take that. All right, NFC South. So, one of the more putrid divisions to watch in football. Not as bad as AFC South, but I'm going Bucks here as far as taking the division. Carolina, I think, will end up getting second. They also have wild card potential with Bryce Young finally getting a little bit more of like his stride and actually getting decent players around him. Beyond that, I could see the Falcons taking third overall. I don't think Penix exactly is the guy for that. And then obviously the Saints might be the worst team in football this year. So we'll see how that goes. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tampa's going to take it again. I think this is going to be like 5 years in a row if they do it. They've won the NFC South. It's been like so quiet. They've been like a little bit of a dynastic run down there. To be fair, the division is really fallen, from, the Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Drew Brees years where it was just like, oh my God, like what is this? I think New Orleans might be the worst team in football. Carolina, by the way, real quick on them. You talk about a bad defense the Bills had on third down. Carolina was horrific. They were giving up like a 50% conversion rate on third down. They were a really bad defensive unit. I thought Bryce Young showed something at the end of last year. I like Ted McMillan. I'm just too nervous about that defense. And then with the Falcons, kind of for me, and it's not even really the current group's fault, but like until I see it, I kind of can't trust them. I know you have all the talent in the world. I know you have Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson and Michael Penix. But like until I see that like work together, I'm not going to believe it. And Tampa, Baker's kind of shown that it's okay that he was the first overall pick. He's multiple seasons now, 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns last year. Arguably, should have won a playoff game last year against Washington. Very plucky Washington team that won a lot of close games. I like Tampa there.
And he's loved there in Tampa, Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah. He should be. I think he should be.
Tampa 1. I'm calling my shot right now. Carolina at the 2, but the 7 seed.
Ooh, okay.
I like what Bryce Young was able to bring at the end of last year. Carolina, clearly believing in it. They add Ted McMillan. I think it's only going to get better for the Panthers from here. Also because, man, that defense giving up nearly 50% on third downs. You can't outdo that in terms of terrible at that point again. Falcons 3, Saints 4. It's pretty quick to move on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
John, any lingering thoughts?
I got a couple. I have a couple hot takes with the NFC South. One, I see Tampa finding its way to the NFC Championship game somehow. I could see it happening. I think Baker Mayfield leads the league in passing yards easily. I think he's getting close to 5,000. I think that the rookie of the year on offense comes from either Ted McMillan or the kid that Tampa drafted out of, I believe it was Ohio State.
Emeka Egbuka. Yeah, Emeka Egbuka.
Who's awesome. I love both those receivers. And yeah, man, I don't know. I actually think I don't know if it's because my local town, my team now here, I actually see that the Falcons are going to get that second seed and we'll push for a wild card.
All right, fair. Moving to NFC West, I'm liking the Rams most of all. I mean, Matthew Stafford, like say what you will about his back, but if he is healthy, I think he'll have one of his better offensive set of weapons around him that he's had. Kyron Williams, fresh off a new contract extension. Devontae Adams still, I think, has a good amount left in the tank. And then Puka Nacua finally emerging as the number 1 wide receiver. I think they take the win in the NFC West. The 49ers, I think, will give them obviously a run for their money. Obviously, they'll take over SoFi Stadium pretty easily as far as their traveling fan base goes. But I think they're starting to finally show cracks in their armor. Like they still lost a few players on both sides of the ball. I think Brock Purdy getting his money, while great that he got paid, of course, I do think it's going to be a heavier lift for him. Obviously, Deebo Samuel's now gone. Brandon Ayuk isn't going to be there for, I believe it's the first 6 games, they think at least. Christian McCaffrey coming off 2 really bad injuries from last year. George Kittle, while he does put up elite production, he's often injured and are continuously banged up. So I could see the 49ers, again, being one of the more top wildcard teams. Again, it's really a crapshoot. But then as far as Seattle goes, I'm not sure to see how well the Sam Darnold experiment will go there. Their offensive line was not as good as Minnesota's. And Arizona, as much as Kyler Murray is a great fantasy quarterback, I do not see him faring well as much as I think the connection to him and Marvin Harrison Jr. will continue to grow. I could see them easily being the 4th team in that division.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with the Rams. I love Stafford. His back injury does make me very nervous. He was the one that was talking about, like, he was getting epidurals to, like, deal with it, like, earlier in the offseason, early in training camp. That scares the hell out of me. If he's healthy, I think they're the 1 seed. I love what they have on defense with Braden Frisk and Jared Verse. I think they've really got 2 studs there. Verse wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. Fisk at defensive tackle has 8.5 sacks as a rookie. I mean, like, I really like what they have there on defense. Puka Nacua, still weirdly underrated as a receiver. I mean, just go back and watch the Bills game. The connection between Stafford and Nacua wins that game basically just between the two of them. With Seattle, I actually have them finishing second in this division. I like what I've heard. Greg Zabral. I want to make sure I get that right. It's their first round pick in the offensive line. You know, if they'd improved it enough, that's going to be a good spot. I like their defense. It's lengthy. It's athletic. And I think Darnold now, does the offensive line have to be as good as Minnesota's? It has to be around there. Yeah, I mean, it has to be around there. But they've got guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think Darnold, maybe not to the same extent that, like, you know, Baker Mayfield has. I think he's got his groove. I think he got into a good system. He had a good year. The confidence is there. And now he's in a team that it's not Minnesota where, like, they drafted legitimately his replacement. And then he had a great year. Like, now it's, yeah, Jalen Milroe's here, but, like, we gave you a 3-year deal, big guy. Your show. And to that point, I don't like Brock Purdy as a quarterback. I think he's very limited in what he's able to do. I don't love how old the 49ers have gotten very quickly. McCaffrey, I'm not necessarily worried about his injuries, kind of same with Kittle. It's just more kind of everything around them. Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, I just saw while we were recording this, did sign his deal, so he'll be there. But the team has gotten old very, very fast. And then in Arizona, Kyler Murray has just never done it for me. I mean, ever. We can all make jokes about the Call of Duty stuff, but even like on the field, like for every exciting play, there's another that just makes you want to tear a hair out. And it's like within the same vein. And I still can't get that playoff game. Was it against the Rams?
Oh, yeah, it was in Los Angeles. Yeah. Yes.
And I can't get that. And not just overall performance, kind of the end of it. Just I'm like this. Like I walked away from going like this is not the guy. He's not one of those guys. He's just not.
Well, they paid him like a guy, so
you kind of have to. That's the worst part about having a maybe quarterback is you got to pay him like he is the quarterback.
Happening with Miami and Tua as well.
Yep.
Yeah, when it comes to the West, it's Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals for me. Everything Zach said about the 49ers is what's ringing true. They are getting older. I like the upgrade. I think it is an upgrade, honestly, at quarterback for Seattle. I don't think it's enough for them to make the playoffs again. But the Rams, I also think even if Stafford's not healthy all season, they still make it because they have a talented enough roster. They can make it happen. And even though he might be above average incarnate, they could feed Kyren Williams the rock 30 times in a game and be happy about it.
I mean, they're going to do it.
They're gonna do it in some games just to keep Stafford from overworking.
He's going to be on the field 88% of the time. They will do something like that.
Right. The anti-James Cook with that contract comparison. Similar. I'm definitely on the Rams. I think the Rams are definitely a contender to come out of the NFC as well, along with the Bucks. I do like Seattle. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba leads the league in targets this year.
Ooh.
I
can absolutely see that. I could absolutely see that.
Yeah. All right. Now switching over to the AFC, not to belabor it, I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on the 1 through 7 as opposed to going through the divisions. Obviously, we're almost 90 minutes deep. Obviously, we all have things to do the following day. So I want to do a couple things to wrap up here. But just quickly, your 1 through 7, don't even need to give it much explanation. Zach, I'll let you go first. 1 through 7 in the AFC.
I think because it has to happen, Buffalo 1. I'll go Baltimore 2, Kansas City 3, Jacksonville 4.
Ooh, Jacksonville. All right.
And then after that, I'll go Denver 5. I kind of want to say Cincinnati is going to be back in the playoffs. I know that the defense is still kind of trash, but I also watched Notre Dame not have Al Golden as a defensive coordinator, and they look not as great on defense. So I'll go Cincinnati 6. And then the sacrificial lamb to the 2 seed. I'll go the Chargers. I'll go the Chargers at 7.
All right. Derek, what do you say?
I've got 2 divisions with only one representative here, and that's the East and the North. The Bills, I think the Bills are only going to get the 2 seed. I'm going Chiefs, unfortunately. Bills, Ravens, Jaguars as well.
Okay.
Texans at the 5. Broncos 6. Chargers 7.
Okay, fair. I'll go. I'm also of the mindset where I don't think the Bills are going to get the 1 seed. I'm going to go Ravens 1, Bills 2, Texans 3. Who am I missing here? North, I'll go. Actually, no, we did Ravens. Who am I missing here? Did I say? West. I'm going to go
West.
Broncos 4. I'm going Broncos winning that one.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm not going to, not because I'm a Chiefs hater, but I think like something's got to give finally, like just after years of just seeing them dominate that division. But with that being said, I am going to have the Chiefs at 5 because it's going to be like, I think just by the razor thin margins. After that, I could see the Chargers and then somehow in the last gasp of air, an Aaron Rodgers led Steelers team making it to the playoffs at a 9-8 record, still preserving that above 500 win record. And I believe I have, what was that? Actually, that was 7 teams. Yes. So those are my 7.
I'm going to say this real quick about the Steelers. I've got them winning 6 games.
Okay. I mean, hey, this is the beauty of prediction. So we don't have to sell anything on these.
Exactly.
Sean, what do you say?
I got Ravens 1, Bills 2, Broncos 3.
Ooh, okay.
Chiefs 4, Texans 5.
Actually, you're just going pure standings. I'm just going by play.
Yeah, I'm just talking about just not the seeding, but just in terms of the rankings.
Got it. Okay.
Bengals 6, and then I guess I will take the Jags. I like the Bengals to bounce back this year for sure. Yeah, I guess I'll take the Jags 7. That's just my order.
Got it. All right. Hey, I'll be curious to see how any of those play out. I mean, for all we know, the Bills may actually, finally do the thing and get the one. We'll see. But now, as I did tease right before the show, we are going to talk briefly. I know we got to swallow some darkness here. The Sabres. And I know you guys talked about this a little bit on your shows, I think, recently. But the Twitter account, JFresh of JFresh Hockey on Twitter, he had the Sabres in his projection making the playoffs and breaking the drought, with 94 points being what clinches them in, somehow being the first wild card, not the second wild card in the Eastern Conference. I mean, would I be overjoyed to see that happen? Absolutely. But man, I mean, this guy, he's heavy on analytics. He follows like a lot of the fancier stats, I know. But at the same time, I think they're really riding a lot on the fact that, again, we're just going down the Sabres rabbit hole again, folks. So sorry if this will tune you out if you're all NFL all day here, but we are a hockey show originally when we first started. But still, I think they're riding high on the Kesselring edition and just the overall changes to the defense as a whole. And I think just selling in on the – oh, my God, why am I – it's just been so long. I have to, refresh my memory on this.
Go back a couple episodes ago about if you want the optimist take that I put out there. You'll enjoy it.
But, oh, my God. It's the ultimate brain fart right
Doan?
now. Yeah, Josh Doan. Yes. He was the second guy part of the trade with JJ Peterka. I think they're really riding high on Josh Doan being part of that as well. Again, just dusting off the cobwebs of that part of my brain and having to remember things. So I don't know. I mean, would it be great to see them break the drought? But I think they're really riding high on some of these being some truly net positives for the team overall. I think Bowen Byram, I think them doubling down and committing to him for at least the next 2 years. I think if they're going to commit to that being their identity on defense, just please don't be the New York Islanders. But still, I think they're relying a lot on the defense to really put them over the next step. The team needed that, but at the same time, what are your guys' thoughts?
I just, man, anytime I get excited about them, they punch me in the face, and they don't do it nicely. It's not even like a love tap; it's a full wind up.
How old were you in 2011, by the way?
I was 12 or 13.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
So that was the last time you saw Sabres playoff hockey. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I've joked about this on air a lot that I don't have the positive memories that a lot of people have. To the opposite extent, Bills Mafia forms in the drought. There was a real kind of love and camaraderie with Bills fans when they were bad. I can't really say the same with the Sabres. With the Sabres when they've been bad, it's been really painful. And I think for a lot of us too that don't have the memories of 06 and 07 and even the negative ones. I don't really have like any of like the really positive feelings. And like I joke with Derek all the time, like I just want like one party in the plaza. Like that's it. Like I want to experience that.
Seriously.
I don't really know how to be a fan during a playoff series. We joked at the start of the show, I'm also an Angels fan. I've seen one playoff series with Mike Trout. It was a wild card series. It barely counts. And so like I don't even know how to be a fan of a team that's in a playoff series. I've hit this point now with them. I can get excited about Kessering and Doan and stuff like that. And Tage Thompson's a wizard and Darlene's one of the best defensemen in the league. Until they do it, I am always going to be very hands off, kind of, at arm's length with them because they have burned a lot of us pretty aggressively. I was a massive Dylan Cousins fan. When he had his kind of breakout. You remember the outdoor game against Toronto where him and Terry Pegula are standing next to each other as Cousins banging. I'm like, that's my
Austin
guy.
Matthews.
Yeah. I'm like, that's my guy. Like he'd fight a polar bear if it looked at his teammate wrong. Like that's my guy. He fell off a cliff. And even you can look at the scoring as well. Some of it was due to injuries, but the year after they light the league on fire, and basically everyone that covers the NHL was like the Sabres are the up-and-coming team. Everyone's going to want to go to them. Well, the season comes and the Sabres, the scoring dries up, and even in the off season, and this is where for me, the day that it happens, and sadly, I do think it'll happen. I think Kevin Adams will lose his job at some point here relatively soon, and because I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. To me, it'll be that off season from what would that be 2 years ago now, when the iron was hot. Everyone in the league looked at you as that hot young team coming up. You just had your summer glow up, right? You hit puberty and you were looking fine in high school. They didn't do anything. They re-signed Kyle Oposo and a few other veterans. They brought in Eric Johnson,
the husk of Eric Johnson.
Yeah,
the husk of Eric Johnson.
And they were selling you on.
If you're watching on the video side, maybe not so much on the audio side, you see a face palm for Derek right now.
People are upset. But like Eric Johnson, like they sold you on like, he's good leadership and he's a former number 1 overall pick. Not a particularly explosive one. He's not that. And so that's where I was burned. And even going into this season, I mean, me and Derek talked about a lot of like, will the Sabres do anything? Derek tried to build up a lot of sense of hope. And for me, I was like, not a shot. like they won't. And until I'm proven wrong, that's kind of where I'm going to be at. And part of it's almost in the sense of I've been raised in it. Like most of my sports life, they have been bad, just flat out.
Quite literally more than half your life. But
Derek, the last time you were on with us, you were all about being optimistic about the Sabres.
Right.
Do I sense a little change in your tune here?
The last time you spoke to me about this, that was before the offseason began.
I
was daring to dream, and it was so irresponsible of me to do that. Hey, maybe go get Jason Robertson. No, Jason Bottrell decides to stick a knife into our side. Again, thanks, Jason. Have fun, Seattle. But he makes a smart move, actually. And he adds Mason Marchment. However, that gives Dallas the cap relief that they desperately needed. Thank you, once again, you frickin' Judas. Bottrell, man, And then, hey, maybe you can go and try the fantasy play of Mitch Marner. Nope, Vegas ruined that for everybody. They're like, no, we're going to make sure we lock this down before he even walks to free agency. Thanks, also, traders, Vegas. Don't like you. Any big name item didn't go anywhere except for Marner. And that one was locked up before you can go to free agency. Free agency was dull.
It was a wet fart.
And then Kevin Adams spoke, giving me less optimism. And then he trades Peterka.
Let it out, Derek. We see it in your face. Release it.
I'm trying not to do this sort of thing on a podcast or anything like that. You're getting bleep, and that's the best you're getting out of this. Bleep, bleep, the bleep, bleep, bleep. Adams has frustrated me on account more times than I can even remember anymore. To see that Jay Fresh, who had the most accurate predictions last year, has the Sabres in the playoffs, his model does not believe in Montreal at all. That they did literally take a bag of pixie dust, blow it around, and made the playoffs instead of the freaking fracking Sabres. Montreal did it. And the first time I was on with you guys earlier in that year. What did I say? The Montreal Canadiens made a Stanley Cup final, bottomed out,
rebuilt,
and then made the playoffs again before the Buffalo Sabres could recover with their current regime in Kevin Adams' tenure. The Sabres are frustrating me. They are frustrating everybody. I'm kind of with Zach in the I'll see it. I can only see it to believe it. But I'm also I'm a sicko, and once the puck drops for opening night, I'm going to be watching every freaking game. I hate my life.
Same.
Not even out of workplace obligation.
No, it's because I'm a sicko.
We all are.
It's the same.
I'm part of the problem. I know I'm part of the problem, but I at least try to say words to help people get through it. And maybe that's what it is. Am I going to have to become a hockey therapist this year? Is that what we're going to have to do this year, Zach? Is that something we're going to have to do? Is just be am I a hockey therapist?
I mean, you can try. If they sit down in my chair, by the end of it, I'll be like, you know what? I think you were right to get out of that relationship. I think you nailed it. I think you don't even need to pay me. Like that's where I'm going to be at. But I think I either said it right before we started off air or right when we started on air. I'm going to be with Derek. Like I'm like the first weekend home game, I'll be there. Like that's the problem. And it honestly, if they don't start as bad as they did last year with the Europe trip,
right?
That was the worst part. Is the Europe trip kind of shot any sort of excitement for the season just down. If they start this year like 5-4,
play 500 hockey, guys.
I'm like, let's go, baby. We're playing 500 hockey. You start the year, let's ride.
Right.
That's kind of sickening that we're looking for 500 hockey to start the year.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to throw up.
And we'll be there. And we will be there this year, all year. We'll be in the locker room.
Throw up.
We will be there. So I hope for our sake, Chris Maz, that the team does turn the corner. And just my quick little 2 cents. Like I said, I came out. I did a show with Sabres Joe Marino a couple weeks back. We had some good optimistic takes. And I think what's going to end up happening is they are going to start decent. And I think it really comes down to the fact that Lindy Ruff, if you remember, he came in late in the offseason last season. He got to kind of put his stamp of approval on this team that he's about to coach. And I think it's a team that's more similar to some of the teams he's coached in the past successfully in terms of just kind of grind it out, play tough in the corners, go to the net, like how Josh Stone plays. And I think that with the fact that Kevin Adams is really GMing for his job, they're going to be close enough to the hunt that they're going to add and they're going to make it.
Hey, we'll hope the projections will be true on that one. But one last thing, again, we are hour 42 deep. So for our over 1,200 viewers, appreciate you continuing to go on here and watching us go on. I know, yeah. Look at us moving up the food chain.
It's because Derek's third time, obviously.
I know, third time. And Zach's first time. Can't forget that.
Zach's first time, exactly.
It's more that one.
The trilogy gets you to 1,200. Not the first time. The trilogy gets you to 1,200.
No, debuts bring people in.
It's both. Hey. It's a little bit of both for sure.
Yeah, we'll take it. But we've introduced this new segment recently. It's called the Grind My Gears or the Give Them Their Flowers segment. So in the vein of the Family Guy Grind My Gears segment, of course. But the Give Them Their Flowers segment is brought to you by our very first sponsor, Larger Than Life Blooms. So the Give Them Their Flowers segment goes about you're thinking about something in your life that's been going great lately, or maybe it's a person, maybe it's a group or an organization. I'm going to keep it simple tonight because Sean, I'm going to give you your flowers because again, you literally drove cross country while moving yourself out of your old condo in Tampa to be able to make it in time for this show. So I'm giving my flowers to you. Now, to lay some hate on the other side of things, of course, because that's the best part of the Grind My Gears. So what's been grinding my gears lately is I work in schools. Obviously, I'm not going to go too in depth as to where and what I do specifically. But also, my oldest son is now started back at preschool, and my youngest son now just started daycare. So what's been grinding my gears is just the now excess germs that have just been coming in and out of our household here. So that's been really just a challenge in and of itself, now being a parent for the last few years. But still, what grinds my gears are the daycare / preschool/school germs that come home now that a school is back in session. So if you've heard it all throughout the duration of the show, got a little bit of congestion going on, just kind of on the mend from the other side of a cold. So that has been what's truly been grinding my gears. So for Zach and Derek, you haven't exactly been able to be part of this one before. So you could choose to give people their flowers, or you could lay some hate and talk about what grinds your gears. Would love to hear.
I think for me, in terms of just what's been going well, I mean, sports are back, just flat out. Like I'm obviously a big college football junkie. I got my fill. Texas didn't have to win. It is what it is. I got my fill of that. And now starting tomorrow, we're going to have 5 straight days of football. That's going to be incredible. In terms of grinding my gears, honestly, it's been a little bit of like the shouty shows. Like, I'm done with the predictions. I'm done with all of that stuff. No, but I'll go with Jerry Jones. I think in particular, I have been led astray and run amok. I watched the documentary on him on Netflix. Loved
Oh
the
my
documentary.
God.
It's
Nice.
super well done. Even if you're not a Cowboys fan, I can't stand the Cowboys. It's just really well done. And I got to a certain point where I'm like, Jerry's not going to let Parsons walk. He's doing this. He's got us in the palm of his hands. It's all for entertainment, and good on him because we all buy it. And then like 3 days later, he trades him. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm never believing anything ever again. So Jerry Jones grinds my gears to no end.
Best part about that one, Zach, was that you and I filled in for Chilton Bulldog, and you and I
Yep.
kind of got into it a little back and forth about Jerry Jones. And I'm like, Michael Parsons is not playing for the Cowboys again. And you're like, nope. And then I text you the moment it happened. I'm like, dude.
Unbelievable.
First of all, throwing the flowers, I got to give it to Sean. Loyal to the crest. That's dedication, brother. To drive and do the show with no electricity. I hope your products don't die on you. Let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Right.
So hopefully everything goes smoothly for you tomorrow. I say this and his screen froze.
Oh yeah. No, there he is. He's good.
Yeah, I know, right? Perfect.
That couldn't have been better timed. But no,
laptop's at 4% battery. That's what it is.
Flowers for Sean. So
Yes.
let's wrap this up for the sake of his battery there.
Yes.
As for grinding of gears, I'm actually going to say that sports is back, which means that we get more terrible takes from the shouty shows. So we're back in hell. It is an oasis, but it's a mirage. I hope you like sand, everyone. Nobody pulling Anakin Skywalker here. Just eat the sand.
That's great. Sean, while we still have you, battery notwithstanding, some flowers to give and or some hate to lay. Uh-oh. Did it happen?
It may have happened.
Oh.
It may have happened.
Oh, no. Oh, we lost him. So I think for Sean's sake.
Yeah.
He's there. Oh, no.
I'll give you a quick one. I'll give you a quick one here. I sent you a picture.
Let's see.
Oh, no.
Let's see. Nope. I don't have anything yet. So
he's hanging out for dear life here.
I know. I love this. It's just like that. All the suspense just kind of built up.
No,
in this
it's
moment.
not. My battery's too dead.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Battery's too dead.
Anyway, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for the sake of Sean actually getting some sleep. Guys, this has been great. Again, when I texted earlier, I said every time we have Derek on, we set records for show length on this one. So for all 1,200 folks watching, wherever you are on all our platforms, thanks for tuning in. Hey, we got an actual real football starting tomorrow, folks. We hope to have some outstanding games to talk about. Maybe have good takes, maybe have bad takes about them too. But hey, let's hope it's a great week one. We'll catch you next time.